creatures, it's Em and I'm back today with a setup video. This video has been super highly requested, super highly anticipated, and I cannot wait to show you what I've done with this setup behind me right here. I made this. Now don't fret, if you want to make a bioactive setup, I know it can sound really daunting. I'm going to be walking you through step by step through the entire process, talking about materials, costs, and of course showing you how I made this setup behind me. Now before we get started, I want to give a massive shout out to ZooMed. ZooMed have been amazingly generous and actually gifted me these two terrariums behind me in order to set them up as bioactives. So thank you very much ZooMed for sending these over to me. I am super thrilled with how one of them has turned out. Still have to do this other one over here, but that's another video. So make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, become part of the creature crew, and also hit that notification bell down in the corner there so you don't miss a single upload. The setup we're making today is a bioactive setup. What is a bioactive setup?
A bioactive setup is a biologically active setup. Let's say you have a gecko in an enclosure. Usually you have to clean out the gecko's waste, but in a bioactive setup, there are small or microorganisms living in the substrate to help break down the waste of the gecko. Bioactive setups mimic how nature deals with waste and decay with its own cleanup crew, which return nutrients back to the soil. Bioactive vivariums are ideal for small pets such as smaller reptiles and amphibians, but not suitable for larger animals which produce more waste than microorganisms can deal with quickly.
And right now I want to give a mega shout out to the channel Skyscraper Design. This channel helped me so much when I was getting started with bioactive setups. Skyscraper Design, I hope you don't mind me shouting you out. I just find your videos really fantastic and I love that you have amazing setups. Honestly, some of the best I've seen here on YouTube or anywhere else. So come with me and I will show you how I set up my bioactive setup right behind me, right there.
Let's get started.
So what we have right now is we have two Skyscraper Terrariums by ZooMed side by side, and I can either push them together or push them apart. They're apart right now. And there's Dave, my T-Rex. So beautiful. Let's see it from this angle, and this angle, and this angle, and this angle. Chicka, chicka, chicka. It's super important to note that although these doors are amazing, they are not strong enough to be laid completely flat because they will just push downwards and break. So that's why I have it leant up against this drinks cabinet that I have over here. So that's going to stay open, hopefully it doesn't fall and shatter.
What I'm doing here is I'm laying my cork bark flat on the glass and arranging it into how I want the background of the vivarium to look. You can play with having bark, pots, reptile vines, and anything else you can imagine which won't quickly corrode. When you're happy with your layout, slap on some protective gloves and grab some 100% pure silicone. You know, like that squidgy sealant stuff you poke at in the bath when you're bored? No, just me? Okay, you can use any color you like, but for this build, I like black. Be careful when handling this stuff, it's messy and the fumes are pretty powerful, so keep the area very well ventilated and remove any animals with delicate respiratory systems. Coat anything you want to stick on the back of your vivarium in the silicone and leave it to dry. Get some multi-purpose expanding foam such as this great stuff. Again, you can choose your color and start to create your background. I started by adding the foam around my decor so that when it dries it helps to hold the bark in place. Remember, this stuff will expand, so don't go too crazy. I managed this build with 1 can of foam, but you might need more cans depending on what you're creating and the size of your terrarium. Leave your expanding foam to dry. I waited about 7 hours, but overnight is better. Then go back to your silicone and begin to cover all of your expanding foam. You may need a couple of packs of silicone for this step because it's better to have too much than too little. Gloves are essential so that you can really get in all of the nooks and crevices. While your silicone is still wet, it's time to create texture. Grab some ZooMed Eco Earth and begin to coat your silicone with it. Apply a generous amount, and when you've covered all of the silicone, gently pat down the Eco Earth so it sticks to the silicone as it dries.
8 hours later.
So when I tip up this vivarium, all of this excess is going to fall off and we'll see just how much actually stuck to the silicone. Let's tip up this beautiful vivarium we've got going on here and see how much actually sticks. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is a little bit heavier now. Oh dear. Nah.
It took a moment, but I got it up. Look at this. So the great news is that none of the logs have fallen off. They are all very well secured there. There is of course some excess because this was lying flat. These little pockets here where we can see this unsightly background might well be hidden with my air plants. So not all is lost, and actually I'm quite happy with this for a first attempt. Rather lovely. And I still get to do that one back there, but that's going to be another video. So let's continue on. The next thing that we have to do is brush off as much of this excess as we can and then collect up everything from the bottom here. Okay, now that that is all cleared up from the bottom, it's time for our drainage layer. Drainage layers are super important because the drainage layer is what's going to stop everything from accumulating in the middle, or the moisture, and rotting. So having a drainage layer is the key to a very healthy, successful bioactive setup. And to help me with that, I have my clay balls. These are some random clay balls that I already had at home. They are nice and hard like this, but you can also get them from ZoomEd. They have what's known as hydro balls, so you can also buy hydro balls. I personally just decided to use these because they're already lying around my house, and waste not, want not. Now that we have our drainage layer down, I'm going to be adding this ZoomEd Naturalistic Terrarium Substrate Mesh. In theory, this should cover the very bottom in one nice sort of fit. It should fit perfectly into the space, theoretically, so let's see if it does. So the mesh we used over here is true to size for the ZoomEd Skyscraper. It's fit in absolutely perfectly. I'm just holding it down because it's a little bit creased, but it will absolutely flatten out because we're going to put in our next layer, which is going to be our charcoal layer. Next up, this isn't from ZoomEd. I actually bought this from a garden center. This here is just charcoal. I highly suggest washing this first, as I'm about to do, because it's very dusty, as you can see. So I highly suggest washing it first. You can do this in a bucket or you can do it in a sieve. This layer here is going to be really pivotal to having a really nice, healthy bioactive setup, because what the charcoal does is it's actually going to provide a place to live and culture my springtails. So this is going to act as a really lovely place for my springtails to hang out and to breed.
Wait. What are springtails?
Okay, so springtails are microfauna, which are usually white, brown, or black in appearance. They literally spring into the air, hence their name. They're going to be the cleanup crew in this bioactive, eating up all of the animal waste and taking care of any decaying leaves. Here, I'm just gently tipping my springtails into the enclosure. For the substrate, I have this really lovely healthy mixture over here, and it is of course some of the ZoomEd cocoa fiber, but also there is some sphagnum moss as well as charcoal in it. Depending on the animals or the plants you're going to be keeping, you want to do a bit of research into what's going to be the best substrate for you. This is just a very nice general mix that's going to be very beneficial to a whole variety of different plants and potential reptiles or amphibians that I could keep in here. I laid this substrate mix on top of the charcoal and springtails. Now I'm moistening it for humidity. What I have here is I have some isopods which I've actually collected from my garden. I collected them way back in the summer. I think there's about 7 of them in there. So I'm going to just go ahead and tip these into the substrate and allow them to go ahead and do their thing. Isopods, like these woodlice, will work with the springtails as cleanup crew. Although both springtails and isopods will help to eat decaying leaves and droppings, isopods can handle larger waste and springtails can gobble up mold spores and algae. Hello, sausage. Uh-oh. Here, let me help you up. You can do it. Go, be free. Ah, they're so cute. I love little isopods. Oh, look at you two go. I'm going to call you Romeo and Juliet. May your life in this terrarium be less tragic than Shakespeare's classic. Do you see that? I collected them ages ago and they've already had a baby. It's a little baby. Yes! Flourish, my friends. Flourish. And next up what I'm going to do is just put some additional leaf litter over the top, just purely for aesthetic. And what I've chosen is dried magnolia leaf. They're nice and big. These are what magnolia leaves look like. I'm going to be just popping some of these around like this.
La 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 la. I have over here some more of this New Zealand sphagnum moss, again from ZoomEd, and I'm going to be just popping it in little crevices that I can find, and hopefully that's going to help some of my plants to grow and really thrive.
How you plant your bioactive is entirely up to you. I ordered some of these air plants from Etsy. By wetting the sphagnum moss and placing my air plants near to the moss or on the moss, the air plants will absorb the moisture and should flourish. I also planted these pothos snippets which I've been propagating in water. Hopefully they will also flourish.
So at this point you might be wondering, what are you going to keep inside your vivarium? That's a very good question. When I was kitting out this skyscraper behind me, I had in mind that I was going to be moving my crested gecko in, but I changed my mind, as I do.
I changed my mind a lot. It's very tiring being me.
So, who is going to be moving into the terrarium behind me? Ta-da! Well, hello, gorgeous. Run, run, run. Possibly the most extra cockroach enclosure ever. So I'm gonna move these guys in, and if they like it, then I will keep them in there. If they don't like it, I will move them out and move in my crested gecko or my gargoyle gecko instead. Let's just dive on in, shall we? This is how you open up the skyscraper. You just pull this little lever down and this pops right open.
Caution. The following segment does contain images of flashing lights, which may be triggering to those who have photosensitivity. So here is how my bioactive ZoomEd skyscraper looks after a few days. I would highly suggest leaving a few weeks for your vivarium to settle before you add your fauna into the setup. Leave extra time if you're going to be introducing a delicate species like dart frogs. My cockroaches are super tough, so I'm not at all worried about introducing them into the bioactive within the first week. For lighting, I'm using the ZoomEd ReptiSun LED Terrarium hood. It has a ton of options for you to choose from depending on which species you plan to keep. And I may have also added my own useless but amusing lights.
Shazam! And Shazam!
Of course, these lights serve no purpose other than to bring me joy, but I doubt any animals would appreciate such festivities, so always bear in mind your animal's comfort and needs when selecting the appropriate lights. Creating bioactive setups can be hugely rewarding projects. If you're a beginner, try a smaller size first to practice and research as many bioactive videos and websites as you can to gain inspiration and tips. As you learn what works for your animals and your setups, share your knowledge to help others learn too. So much of what we know about bioactive setups come from hobbyists and DIYers who all started as amateurs. Good luck!
And that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching and being a part of this channel. If you have any other hints, tips, or tricks for other people wanting to set up bioactives, leave a comment down below and share your knowledge. Or if you have any questions, leave a comment down below and I will try my best to get back to you. I always try and respond to every single comment on the very first day of this video. So if you are one of the early squad, it's a very good chance I'm going to be getting back to you. I don't know why I'm bouncing, but I am, and I like it. Thank you guys again all so much for watching. I will see you in another video soon.